Hey guys, Roadrunner here. Alright, so I got me a list here that I wanted to go over. And if you've read the title of the video, I think you guys got a clear idea of what I'm going to be talking about here. But I can't stress this enough. I did videos of this earlier this year, and then I stopped because I had to leave Jefferson and come back down here. And I didn't really get to finish the videos or this series or whatever. And so I'm going to restart on it, and I'm redoing one of my videos right now, obviously. Alright, so basically I got a list of 10 things that I think people need to look at, learn, figure out, stuff like that. Because let's look at it this way. Everybody wants to call this the Great Depression 2.0, which I agree. It's basically already is. This is a new Great Depression. It's just we can't see it because of the fact that most everybody's reality can't accept it. And what I mean by that is the fact that even with all this technology we have, you know, me being on my tablet doing this video, cell phones, you know, TVs, phones, shit like that. Even if you're watching the news, what do you see on the news? CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. It's mostly bullshit politics stuff that probably has nothing to do with you. If you're wondering why I'm looking this way, it's because I'm looking at myself on the screen and the camera itself is right here. So, yeah. Anyways, all you see is bullshit news related stuff. You know, you probably wouldn't even realize you were in a depression unless you took hours and hours to look at stuff and listen to other people talk about it and realize, shit, you know, yeah, we are in a Great Depression. For example, Yelp, the I don't know what you want to call them, organization, company, whatever, the web company. They, for those who've never heard of Yelp, they're like Yellow Pages and Google Maps and stuff like that. I don't want to say Google Maps, whatever. But basically, you leave reviews on, you know, businesses and stuff like that, like the skate ranch across the street and stuff like that, right? You leave reviews and stuff, and you can look up the times and the hours and shit of the businesses. Yelp made I think it was like a news article, whatever, just here recently, where they looked at all the businesses on their websites, and I think it was either all businesses in general or just the local mom and pop businesses. But they said that 60% of the businesses that closed down to the what I call the pandemic, which I picked up from High Impact Licks, most of those businesses can't reopen, and they probably would never reopen. They can't reopen. They don't have the money. They don't have the customers. They can't, and that's going to be my first thing on here is finances. They don't have the money to be able to do it, and I'm lucky because not only do I get to work for my mother, but my mother's a very smart woman. Especially when it comes to money, not only does she know how to keep customers in both her ranks, but she also knows how to save money, what to spend money on, and anything else related to that. You know, I'm very blessed to have her when it comes to finances, because if it wasn't for her, I probably would still be under a bridge in the middle of the country waiting on a freight train. You know, instead I get to work for her again. Anyways, so yeah, you know, and that's a sign from, you know, the late 20s, early 30s and shit, because as soon as Black Thursday happens, and then all, you know, the Dust Bowl and shit like that happens, businesses, especially local mom pop businesses, shut down, and they didn't reopen, you know? And so, where's, I'm very tired, excuse me. Basically, in other words, the reason why I'm making this video is I really want you guys to realize, especially from a hobo's point of view, somebody who has been on the road, somebody who has been in, you know, small towns and big cities and seen how people actually, not in just one part this town or this part of the country, but has seen almost all parts of the country. I'm trying to show you guys basically what I think y'all should do through the experience I have is my point. So if it sounds like mindless rambling, I'm sorry. But let's see. Number one is finances. Uh, I really don't. I can't understand why anybody would say they can't have a job unless you have some sort of medical reason that prevents you from having a job and or making money. And even then, I think there's even some people, and I'm trying not to be harsh on this, but I think there's even some people who actually can work even with a medical condition. It's just sometimes, as we know, a lot of people are just basically a bum. Uh, for me, obviously, I work at the rink, but I also, donate plasma, and I also scrap metal, and I sell stuff that I find dumpster diving and such through Facebook or whatnot. And I make money off of that too. So there's always some way to make money. There's always something that can be done. Even with, this is actually going to be the last part of the video, but even with the skills that you make or that you learn when you're on the road, whether it's like mending a fence or cleaning somebody's house for them in exchange for 5, 10, 20 bucks or whatever else you need, that's work. There's just no excuse. Even if these places are gonna have business, there's trash that needs to be picked up off the side of the road, there's cans that need to be scrapped, there's copper legally, which I do have a license for, that needs to be scrapped, stuff like that. So finances, and then not only that, another part of the finances that I think people need to realize. Yeah, you got your insurance and shit, which I don't agree with, but you got your insurance you gotta take care of. You got the water, the power, and stuff like that. You got all that stuff. But at the same time, I think people really need to, I guess, figure out that a lot, or come to realize that a lot of what they think they need, which I think I touched on this in a recent video. A lot of things that people think they need, they actually don't need. Like video games, for example. I mean, if I get video games, it's usually very old and it's very cheap, and eventually I sell it for either the same price or somewhere higher, and I get rid of it. I don't really care for video games that much. I just don't care. Unless it's like one of those old Western style, Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Revolver and Gun. I just don't care. I don't care for video games. It's not on my list of needs, you know. So finances is something people need to take care of. If anything, I don't really. I'm really trying to get rid of doing stuff by banking. I might put a little bit of cash in the bank just so I can get stuff that I think that I need to get on like eBay or something. Like right now, I'm trying to invest in some beekeeping equipment, and so I gotta wait. And I got plenty of time because I'm not expecting to get a swarm until around the time spring starts. So I can, by then I'll have the hive and such up. But you know, I would keep all my money in the cash form, or silver and gold and copper and stuff like that. Number two is transportation. The reason why I put this on here, obviously I don't drive, but people do drive. People got their license stuff. My idea is if you do have your license in a vehicle and such, especially a van or a truck or whatever, obviously you gotta keep all your stuff in check, license, registration, shit like that. And you also, in my opinion, I would also keep at least 2 spare cans of gas in the trunk or whatever, as well as obviously an extra tire and shit like that. Aside from transportation, or at least vehicle transportation, I think people need to look into other modes of transportation, because not everybody can actually afford to have not only their license but a vehicle and stuff like that. Even the cheap ones, they eventually break down. I think if anything, really, get a I would invest, and I'm saying this from experience because I got quite a few outside in the backyard. I would get bikes, I would get skateboards, and I would get scooters and rollerblades and whatever else I can use to get around town. Because if you're at that point where you can't even afford to drive or walk to the gas station down the road, for example, Lucky's over here, if you can't even walk over there and get a gallon of gas because it's either not there or it's so expensive, you gotta look into other options. Either walking, as I said, bike riding, rollerblading, whatever. You gotta look for other stuff transportation wise. You can't always expect your car to be working because even in outside of the gas situation, you also gotta think of the battery and the electronics and stuff like that. And everybody's worried about this right now, this supposed EMP that's supposed to happen soon. They've been saying that shit for years. I ain't worried about it anyways. Let's see here. Next one, number 3. This is actually 2 things. Is food and water. Obviously, out here on the homestead, I have crops growing. I have my rooster and my hen. Speaking of which, I'm actually getting eggs from them now, which is very nice. So that cuts down on the need to go dumpster diving. Yeah, food and water, that's another thing with the financial part as well, is, in my opinion, I really think people are spending too much money on junk food. I mean, I got a couple, junk food related items here, but I dumpster dive for that. But the problem is, this box of brownies right here, I mean, I used to work Dollar General. I could tell you right now, at least at the one I worked at, this would be $2.99 right off the shelf. Now you might say, that ain't nothing, but $2.99 can get you 2 to 3 jugs of water that you can keep stored away, or it can get you boxes of ramen and shit like that. Instead, you're wasting fucking $3 and some tax money on a box of fucking brownies that's just gonna get you fucking fat anyways. And you're gonna even get more fat. Going back to transportation, if the only thing you ever do to get out of the damn house is to drive your fucking car because you're too lazy to fucking walk or bike ride, yeah, you're gonna get fat when you eat that fucking box of brownies all the damn time. Water. I got multiple different forms of water purification. I got a water catchment outside, and I got a shit ton of fucking water stored away that I rotate on a daily. And if it's to the point where it's not drinkable, I usually give it to my crops to grow my crops up, or I'll let my chickens have it, or the dogs. So there's no excuse why I can't have water. Even if they turn even if they turn the tap water off, I'm still fine. Alright, shelter. So I said this in a video here recently where I was out in the woods talking about what the families had to go through during the Great Depression era in the 30s. And one of the things they had to deal with was shelter. Now, obviously I live in a small house, a very small house, 1 bedroom, 3 rooms, whatever you want to call it, kind of house. Very small. It's the former grocery store of the area. If I lost this house, and the home, if I lost this house in a fire, and I was in some legal way able to stay here on the property at least, I still have shelter. Because here's the thing, I invested, I guess you could say, in other forms of shelter, obviously tarps and stuff, but also tents. I hate tents, but at the same time, I love pup tents. Especially either the military half shelter pup tents or, the old A-frame ones you used to get at the store all the time before they stopped selling them at Walmart. I got at least 5 or 6 of those laying around here or outside or whatever the hell. So there's no reason why I shouldn't have shelter. Number 5 is animals. Now, the reason why I put animals on here because I don't have kids. I mean, I've taken care of kids at the farm I used to work for and out in Texaco, New Mexico, and I got my nephew, but I don't get to see him a lot like I can, and I really wish I could. But animal-wise, I got obviously I just did that video, that dumpster diving video here about a week or so ago of the dog food I found. 7 bags of dog food, all the same size. They all come up to about right up here to right between my hips and my chest. That's how big these bags of dog food are, and that saves me about a good $75 right there, and that's a good 5 to 6 months of dog food, even with these 4 dogs. Because if you can ration it out very good, just saving yourself a lot of time and effort and dog food. And then with the chickens right now, I also got at least 3 bags of chicken feed on hand, all costing me about $30 from one of the feed stores in Hudson. So I got that going. Number 6 is clothing and sewing. This goes together. When you live by yourself, you have to be able to know how to do a lot of things. And for some reason, a lot of people think that sewing is a woman's thing only. I totally disagree with that. And the reason for that is, if I didn't learn how to sew, I don't think a lot of what I used on the road, whether it's my clothing or my rucksacks or whatever, I probably would have had to hold a sign at a street corner begging for money to get more stuff, because a lot of things, and I got a pair of jeans I've been wearing since about the time I got Xena back in 2017. I mean, they're torn up and holed up and everything, but if I really wanted to sew it up, I could. It would only take me about half an hour. But my point is if you can learn how to sew, not only can you help save yourself money on new clothing, but you can also get paid to, I guess you could say, help, be a seamstress or something like that, which I'm not going to go into that because I don't really know anything really on being a seamstress, other than I think you're supposed to modify clothing, I don't know. See, this is why I don't talk about that stuff. Clothing itself, the thing is, like I said, I dumpster dive all the time, and every time I see a piece of clothing, especially if it's like kids' clothing, which I give away a lot, women's clothing, which I also give away a lot, or if it's men's clothing, which I keep for myself, if it's clothing that's too big for me, or it's clothing I don't want or have a need for, either I cut it up into pieces and I can use it to sew patches on clothing I need to get sewn, or if anything, I can give that clothing away to people who need it, and then you start building friendship up like that, and then SHTF happens, or another Great Depression happens, or whatever, like we have right now. You can build, I guess you could say, you could build a community, your own little tight-knit community, your own family with it, because you're basically helping those people and they're helping you. And clothing is something like that, and so is food. And I find so much food in the dumpsters, it ain't funny. Number 7 is self-defense. So, this ties in with food as well, and I'll explain why in a minute. Self-defense, right now, I'm not going to say how or why I have it. I do have it legally, but right now I have a 22 LR that I got this morning, and it's not going to be, I'm not going to go out, Rambo style with it. If anything, this is just a self-defense tool. That's something you need to remember. A self-defense tool in order to protect me, my dogs, my livestock, my crops, and the whole homestead itself, and whoever happens to be here, Aaron, my mother, Maddie, my nephew, or whatever the hell. It needs to be a tool only for self-defense, not something and I'm not just talking about a 22 LR, I'm talking about guns in general. In my opinion, it just needs to be a self-defense tool, The reason why I say this ties in with food as well is because the other day I did some practice shooting, not with the long rifle, but with the my .177 caliber BB rifle, air rifle, whatever, and was actually able to catch a squirrel and preserve the meat, and the meat was actually pretty good. I know there's some supposed bionic plague. I'm not worried about it because I even eaten squirrels at this time of the year and other years, especially out in Colorado where supposedly they just found one with a bionic plague. which I think it's bullshit, whatever. But the meat I got from this girl the other day was actually really good. Very, very good. Which goes into the point that, in my opinion, I do think people need to have either bow and arrows to go hunting with, a good bow and arrow set, or, BB pellet rifles, which they can use in turn to get small games and such, squirrels, rabbits, whatever else. It's basically, in my opinion, it's basically good to use if you have, the 22 LR or whatever, and you don't want to use your ammo on, trying to get a small game or whatever so you can use it for self-defense. That's my point. Let's see, number 8 here is tools. I don't really know how to explain it other than if you're trying to do such, especially stuff out here on the homestead, you're in a Great Depression or you're in a survival situation where you have no electricity and such, you want to get, in this certain situation, as much hand tools as possible. Being a dumpster diver, I always find a lot of hand tools, screwdrivers, hammers, and Aaron can actually testify to this because he's with me a lot when I find this stuff. Just the other day I actually found a hand drill in the middle of the road and ended up trading Aaron for it to get another chicken. So, tools either you could trade with, as I just mentioned, or hand tools to where you can use it, especially when you have no electricity. Even with electricity, I don't care for hand tools because, in my opinion, they're too much money to get, and they're very hard and rare to find in a dumpster, or even on the side of the road, unless it's broken or whatever. But I always think it's a good idea to have hand tools, especially multiple sets of hand tools, and considering the fact that there's a local hardware store down the road, Abney and Sons hardware store over in the Gaslight area. I don't find tools there, but I do go and get bags of nails from them for, I think the cheapest they would do for a quarter-pound bag is $1.25, and that's actually a lot of nails from these guys. So, yeah, having tools, especially hand tools with no electricity, is always a good thing. Number 9 is medicine and health. I build my own medicine boxes, or whatever you want to call them, medicine cabinets, and first aid kits. I don't like the first aid kits that they sell at the stores because they're already pre-made, and it's not really what in my opinion, what you should be able to use for yourself. In other words, if I need a first aid kit or a survival kit, I want to have a kit regardless of what the need is for. I need to have a kit built specifically for me, not this generic one you find at Walmart all the time, just because I don't want to, I don't know. My point is that if you get the ones made at Walmart or all these other stores, Academy and Gainers Mountain, all that, you're getting a generic brand, in my opinion, that isn't going to work for you because it doesn't have what you think you need. That's my point. It's not going to have what you think you need. And even if it does have, a good item or two, all the other items in that kit are going to be made shitty. So, to tie in with that, I'm not going to go grab it right now because it'll make this video a hell of a lot longer than what it should be. But basically, this whole cooler I have is a medicine and first aid health kit. In other words, I got everything from ibuprofens to sleeping aids. I got tourniquets in there. I got all this different medical stuff that people, me or somebody, whoever else is here, can use in case something happens. So making your own in my opinion, is a lot better than buying a kit at the store that's already pre-made. Now I'm looking at this, back to number 7 on self-defense. I did go dumpster diving last night, and I went to one of the dollar stores, not going to name which one, but they had Hey, knock it off. They had thrown out a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not gonna go on the name of all the stuff there, but I found several, and these were packaged up too. Several things of pepper spray, and it was the female ones with the bedazzle on it, but you can actually take the bedazzle off, and it's just basically a regular can of pepper spray. So that's another thing with self-defense, and having a good knife too, which I don't have any of them on me right now. And just to before we go on to the last one, to reiterate to number 6, clothing and sewing. Uh, One of my things is I don't agree with a lot of people's fashion choices, so to speak. Because here's the thing, one of my favorite YouTubers, I think it was either Canadian Prepper or the Angry Prepper who said this, where you're in an SHTF situation, there's a gunfight going on or whatever, and you gotta hightail it out of here. And let's say you're a woman, for example, and you're wearing heels and a dress for whatever reason, walking down the road, and there's an SHTF situation. You're not gonna get far on heels, especially if your car is like a mile or so down the road, even less than a mile. Your heels are gonna wear out real quick. Heels on your feet are gonna wear out really bad. So in my opinion, just having a simple t-shirt, having a pair of jeans, or in this case, since it's still technically close to the end of summer, having a good pair of shorts and a good pair of running shoes, that right there is what you should be wearing. Not this, I'm gonna look like a princess out in the middle of the road, or not this, I'm gonna sag my pants because I just got out of prison kind of look, which is the stupidest thing ever. To me, it's just, in my opinion, it's inappropriate. And even with the kids, uh, I don't agree with the fact that the parents let the kids walk around in what I call cuties clothing. Cuties being that disgusting Netflix movie that's coming out. I've seen screenshots of it on Facebook, people posting and ranting about it, and people on YouTube like High Impact Flicks and all of them. I've seen the screenshots and the videos of, like I said, High Impact Flicks who was ranting about it, and the clothing on there is disgusting. I mean, it really is. It's too revealing. 11-year-old girls doing twerking dances like that with revealing clothing, and the fact that one of the guards on there is an actual pedophile, I think. He acts like he is. I don't fucking know. This shit's too disgusting. But my point is, the clothing needs to be looked at, especially women and children's clothing, because that to me not only tells me how you are as a parent with how you let your kids look when you're out and about, but it also tells me how long you're gonna last in an SHTF situation. If it feels like I'm not talking right, ever since I got my teeth taken out over here, I haven't been able to speak right. Very weird. Alright, so last one here is skills. Number 10, skills. A lot of, self-defense skills, gardening skills, communication skills, reading skills, any kind of skills, even skills for jobs, welding skills, fencing skills. But the one I think a lot of people need to look at, especially when it comes down to food, we are so lacking of our gardening skills. That's the main problem. I think that's the reason why everybody's always dependent on the supermarkets now, because our gardening skills are gone. They're lacking. They really are. I mean, it's to that point where I always see, when I am on Facebook, I always see pictures of like these communities like out in Europe and shit, or even on the West Coast, where whole neighborhoods of cities and towns about the size of Lufkin will have they all got either gardens in their front yard or the backyard or both, or they got this empty lot where everybody has a plot, and you got to take care of it yourself, and that's where they get all their food, and they got chickens and goats and pigs and stuff like that. To me, that's the problem, especially here in the U.S., because U.S. people are so fixated on this just-in-time delivery service at these supermarkets to get what they need. That's the thing, and I can tell y'all firsthand, working Dollar General and all these other places, Dollar General, Family Dollar, Walmart, it might look like they got a big room, especially Dollar General and Walmart, But in reality, as soon as it comes to that point, and we noticed this months ago, especially now with the supposed meat crisis going on, where, excuse me, where farmers have to slaughter these animals and discard them because supposedly nobody wants to buy them, which to me that's bullshit, but whatever. Uh, as soon as the delivery trucks and the trains stop coming, that's when you start to realize those little rooms in the back, all the stuff in it, especially the food, starts to come out really fast because now everybody's starting to rush to the store because they don't have the food they need because they're not growing their food. They don't got the chickens, they don't got the pigs, they don't got the bees, they don't got any of that stuff because they're so dependent on a goddamn store to get what they need. And they even got kids who are dependent because these kids, oh no, they don't feel dependent on even have a garden and stuff like that. No, they're more dependent on fucking video games and trying to be a fucking Instagram model. I'm sorry for the swearing, but I can't handle this shit. I can't handle the fact I'm always reading about, people, especially kids, and not only the U.S. but in all over the planet dying because there's not enough food. There is enough food. It's just the fact that you have places like Dollar General and Walmart, and you have families that, again, are so dependent on these places who won't grow their own food. They won't take the situation in their own hands and say, okay, I'm going to take, I don't have it over here, but I'm going to take this pack of seeds, I'm going to plant it, I'm going to get corn, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. They won't take it into their own hands and actually fix the problems themselves. That's my main issue. That's why I'm doing this list. I'm trying to get you guys to actually see that everything y'all depend on, I won't say everything, but most of whatever y'all depend on out there in the real world, you really don't fucking need. You really don't need it. You don't need the flashy clothing. You don't need the newest fucking car. You don't need a lot of this shit. And that's the reason why we had the Great Depression in the first place. Because in the roaring 20s, everybody was, I'm not going to go through all the details on it because I'm still trying to learn it myself. But basically, everybody was trying to invest in the stock market. The stock market couldn't prop itself up. The people who were supposed to be reporting the numbers on the Dow Jones or whatever the hell it was that was showing the numbers on the scale going up and down of, I guess, the stocks themselves, they were so fucking behind on their work that they couldn't even, that's the reason why everybody was confused on the first place with the stock market's numbers, was because the people given the numbers were so far lacking behind that, well, while it's down here, they're still thinking it's up here. When in reality, with it being down here, it's gonna fuck everything up. And then not only that, because of that happening, people started saving their money. And I'm guilty of this because I'm starting to save my money, and it's not going to be in a bank. Everybody's taking their money out of the bank, and when they're taking their money out of the bank, they're not spending their money on the goods, because if you're not spending money on goods, money's not going back into the system. Money ain't going back into the system. The system's fucked. It's going to crash. It's going to wreck. And then you get what we had in the 1929 to 1939, the Great Depression. I hope I didn't leave anything out. Xena, did I leave anything out? No? I hope not. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Trying to see here just to make sure. Yeah, I think I got everything. Alright, so I'll see you guys later. Peace.